All right, we're really going to put him through the ringer when he gets up here. But pretty good show so far, Slick, from the fights.
Pretty good show so far. We had a welterweight title bout after Terrence Crawford stepped down a division. We crowned a new champion there. And we're joined by a champion of himself, none other than Buffalo's own, Baby Joe Mason.
That's right all you, man. You ready to go?
All you.
By the way, you got to admire Joe. There's a lot of courage. He was live with us a half a decade ago for sort of come back live with the Trainwreck crew. Shout out, Joe. But, Joe, an amazing show so far, and we got a main event on tap, as well as this woman's co-main to look forward to.
Amanda Serrano. I don't know much about boxing these days. I'm not as affiliated. Amanda Serrano is a really great fighter.
Yeah, I meant to ask you because the women really set the tone for women's boxing when these two had their first bout. First ever women's main event at Madison Square Garden. Katie Taylor obviously scraping the decision victory by split. Good fight here tonight. I know you said you're impressed by Serrano. Are you expecting anything out of this?
I don't know. The women make the most exciting fights these days. You know, back 20 years ago, people thought it was controversial, but some of the best athletes in the UFC and boxing today are the women. Yeah, I agree. So
wait, whether we've gone to Rousey or whether we've gone to Serrano, we got Caitlin Clark tearing up. It's a woman's world. But with that said, it's also a streaming world, Joe. We obviously have Netflix with their first sports live event today. How do you see the world of boxing kind of changing around that? And is it kind of evolving to match the world we live in?
The world of boxing has definitely changed since my era in the early 2000s, and not for the good. But, I mean, the popularity has diminished a bit, I think. And look at what we're drawn to this evening. I mean, an almost 60-year-old fighting a YouTuber. It's exciting. It's got revenue. I get it. I'm here. But the sport is in itself, it's an awesome sport. It's a wonderful sport. But it's not what it used to be, and I think everyone can agree with me on that.
It's a great sport, the sweet science. We all love it. That's why we're here. But I mean, when you say it's taking a turn for the worse, is there factors other than the fact that these guys like Jake Paul are coming into the game, taking over, getting a dominant crowd, following them, beating up old MMA guys, and then claiming they're a really good boxer that can take on one of the baddest men on the planet at one point in the world?
Well, I mean, it's gimmicky.
It's very wrestling-like, isn't it?
When you have a former fighter like me that's very intrigued and involved in the sport, but I can't tell you who all the world champions are, and I can't tell you who all the best contenders are. And I'm someone that actually cares, so
passionate.
I just think that there's really a lack of stars. Not saying I was one of them. I'm just saying, like,
you were shooting through the sky. I could watch you all day, all night. Let's go.
36-0, 29 knockouts. In case anyone forgot.
No big deal.
Listen, the Olympic gold medalists and the De La Hoyas and the Shane Mosleys and those days and the Vander Holyfields, those days of the 70s and 80s and growing up and watching this on NBC and ABC Wild World of Sports, that'll never happen again. But listen, I'm never going to diminish or talk poorly about the sport because it's the best sport. But, it's a tough business to be in. And right now, the business itself is struggling.
Talking about the business, we were talking before the show. You said one of the lesser things about the boxing sport is the promoters. They kind of control everything. They make sure everything runs through them. Don't you have to respect that someone like Jake Paul has kind of taken the power away from the promoters, and now we can have a dream fight of a Jake Paul versus Tyson? I know it's years beyond an actual dream
fight with
a
gap of 30 years.
But a little power away from the promoters is a good thing, right?
Maybe. I mean, I will take nothing away from Jake Paul. The only thing I am of Jake Paul is jealous. I mean,
that's fair.
I mean, the guy's going to be a billionaire. So the sport, like you were saying, I was talking to my friend Tim Graham.
Shout out Tim Graham, Amherst Ale House regular.
And some might argue the fact that he's a friend, but we have made amends. But we were just talking about there's really there's a lack of talent and a lack of really, I want to say sanctioning for a better word. There's really no governing body that manages this awesome sport like the NFL and NHL. There's really no control. It's managed by whoever's promoting, and it's managed by states. And it lacks something, and it lacks some oversight and something to manage.
I totally agree with you as a huge UFC fan because we see Dana White blame athletic commissions every week, and he claims that Nevada one is the best of the business. And here we are. The Texas Commission is sanctioning a 58-year-old Mike Tyson to go and box Jake Paul. But with that being said, I know you and Mike are friends. You guys have potentially had business ventures in the past. What do you think about him going into this, and what makes Mike potentially still scary at 58 years old if anyone's doubting him?
I've seen Mike recently in the last few years in Vegas, and he's always been so kind and gracious to me. And he's such a great guy these days. People love him. He's so philosophical. He's at peace. He's doing well in life. But Mike's 58 years old. And I don't care what kind of shape he's in. He looks great. His sound bites are awesome. He's incredible in the gym. He's 58. I have a little concern, actually, going against a 27-year-old.
Talking about this matchup, you had the press conference yesterday where Jake Paul was basically egging him on, saying, aren't you going to destroy me, Mark? He wasn't saying anything. Mike wouldn't give him any fuel. Is that a mind game? Is he kind of negging Jake Paul on?
You have to wonder. We're not in the know. Are these guys are friends. These guys have been in each other's lives for 5 years.
Business partners,
they've been touring the country. They've been on each other's podcasts. They don't act like they're not acquaintances, and this isn't a business program. Like they're making some money here. So I don't even know if that slap was
well, that's what we were just going to get to.
We got to talk about the slap.
We got to talk about it.
The slap had to be staged.
The slap heard around the world.
And for Mike Tyson to say he's a natural-born killer, and I believe he is,
for sure.
This is not the Mike Tyson of the 90s. Don't let that fool you. He likes Mike. He likes Jake. And but look, having said that, could he knock Jake out? Of course he could. He's a dangerous man. But when you're at a certain age and you're in great shape, you still have to say he's in great shape 460. He's in great shape 470. Nothing compares to 27-year-old in your prime.
There will always be that asterisk.
Shout out Josh Allen.
I'm not saying I'm calling a winner here because I'll be honest to you, as great as this evening is, and it's a tough bet because no one knows what's going to happen. Yeah. It's better than most Super Bowls. No one... Anything that
better
happens,
than most Super Bowls is a quote.
At least in most Super Bowls, you might say, "Listen, this team has the edge." No one knows what's going to happen here, but at the end of the day, I don't care.
I love it.
I don't really care either, but I know we're in for a good fight tonight and a spectacle that we may never ever see anything close to ever again.
It's still fun. It's still
and that's what we're all about.
Well, let's saddle up with a Pink Whitney shot here,
fun.
Courtesy of our friends. Let's have some fun here. Courtesy of our friends at Amherst Ale
Let's
House.
have some fun.
Joe, if you were Mike Tyson right now, if you were teleported into his body, how would you attack a 27-year-old Jake Paul? Early and often, you can't let this one go 6+ rounds, right?
You don't have to be a genius to know that Mike's got the early rounds to be aggressive and try to put it on him and in the first 2 or 3 rounds. And after that, I'm not sure. It won't favor Mike. And now listen, 2-minute rounds.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that.
Very interesting.
8 2-minute rounds is a little.
2-minute rounds might favor Jake.
I thought so.
Because it's, 2-minute. I'm out of shape, and I could do a 2-minute round.
You and me both.
Listen, so it's the last minute of every round that makes a real fighter. It's the last minute of every round that makes a true champion.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
A 2-minute round, I don't know how that's not a real fight to me.
What do you got when the tank's empty, baby?
I know the first 2 minutes of every round I feel good. The last minute of every round I've never felt good.
I felt really bad when you were saying you're out of shape standing right next to me because that makes me look
that is
like
a bad look
for
all of us if Joe's out of shape.
Let's get these
There's going to be a lot of
though.
shots in this match. Let's take our shot ourselves. Shout out John and the staff here at
Thank you for
Amherst Ale
coming out. Make some
House.
noise.
People. With that said, Joe, do you have an official prediction for the match? Do you have any input on how you think it's going to go down when they fight in about a half hour here?
I mean, we all know what we want to happen. Mike is so lovable these days. When you watch his podcast, he's actually philosophical. I was saying it the other night.
I heard you talking on that other podcast about the same thing.
He's well read. He's got these amazing quotes.
I have to jump in. Was the turning point really when he was in The Hangover? Because it really feels like it. When you look at the timeline, It looks like everything changed when he was in the movie.
And the belly started going down after that, too.
Well, I'm going to tell you, that was his low.
Okay, very fair.
Well, yeah, no, that is fair for sure.
So I would have to think, from what I've read and what he said in interviews, filming that movie, he was at his low.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, when they were talking about a Macy Tyson fight in Buffalo.
Oh, there were talks of that?
That was going to be, Mike agreed to it. We were going to do something in Ralph Wilson Stadium. That was 2004 or 5. That was the beginning of Mike's low. That was Mike's. Mike was out of shape.
Yeah.
Mike was a wild man, desperate for money.
Yeah.
That's why I happily agreed to it.
Of course.
You know, if I was agreeing to the Mike Tyson the late 90s, I never would have agreed.
I would never agree to selling out Ralph Wilson Stadium fighting Mike Tyson.
I was going to say, you wouldn't run right into a Tigers den?
No. So, I mean, there's Mike Tyson, and then there's Mike Tyson.
Okay.
And I don't know which Mike Tyson we'll see tonight. All I know is he's almost damn near 60, and I love the man. And he's got this Muhammad Ali, there's only one Muhammad Ali. I shouldn't even say that, but he's got this aura about him. And he's making a difference by being composed and speaking legitimately. And on his podcast, he's wonderful and he's positive. And he talks about his difficult life and his childhood. And he's actually beneficial to people. But I don't know if we're going to see the natural born killer we've all wanted to see since the 90s. I don't know. And who knows?
It's a completely different Tyson, and he's even said leading up to this, my kids know me as a nobody, but Friday night they're going to know me as one of the baddest men on the planet. I was just going to ask you, with that slap, I don't want to harp on it because we just talked about it, but was that the natural-born killer Mike Tyson that you saw in that clip? Or even if it was there just a front on top of it?
It's a fun soundbite, but let me tell you something. I'm 50 years old, and what we do as former athletes is say, can I still hang with what I see on TV? Can I still hang with this guy or that guy? That's what we do. We're competitors. Could I get into shape and compete? Of course.
Yes.
But
Joe Macy versus Jake Paul?
But do I still have I have children now. I have a career. I have a wife and a household. And
Shout out Joe's wife.
Listen, Michelle, but let me tell you something. I didn't have any of that when I was boxing.
Yeah.
And I was boxing. I would have literally, I almost did die in the ring. If I did, I did. So would I enter the ring today with that same mentality? I could pretty positively answer the question. I'd give you hell, but I'm not going to leave it all in there. So, but in 2003 and 4, I could be beat easily, but I'm going to leave it all in there.
Ready to lay it all on the line. We have a great co-main event starting right now here at the Amherst Ale House. Shout out John and all the staff, but we're not letting you go, Joe, yet. We're talking knockouts, and I know that there's one very important knockout to everyone here, and that is knocking the hell out of Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs
Go Bills.
On Sunday. Joe, give me a prediction. Sunday, Bills Chiefs.
I'm thinking 27-21 Bills.
27-21 Bills.
Hey.
You heard it here first, baby Joe.
Hey, yo, Taylor Swift, I heard you just won a VMA. I'm real happy for you, and I'm going to let you finish. But Josh Allen and Haley Steinfeld are the best couple in the NFL, and the Buffalo Bills run the fucking AFC.
All right, very fair, very fair. Make sure to tip your servers. Thank you, Joe, for joining us. This train never stops. Let's have a good
night now.